The Force binds all things across the galaxy, connecting every living being in an invisible web of light and darkness. But what happens when something from beyond the stars arrives, something that hungers, something that bonds, something that knows nothing of the Force? On the day the Republic died, when clone troopers across 1,000 worlds raised their blasters against the Jedi they had fought beside for 3 years, a streak of living shadow fell from the void between dimensions. It crashed into the forests of Felucia during the final moments of the Clone Wars. And in doing so, it would change the fate of Order 66 forever. The symbiote had been drifting through the cosmic dark for what felt like eons, separated from its host during a battle that tore through the fabric of space itself. It had no name for what happened, only the sensation of being ripped from one reality and thrust into another. When it finally struck atmosphere, the symbiote was weak, desperate, and starving for a host. The jungle world of Felucia pulsed with strange energy, something vast and interconnected that the symbiote couldn't comprehend. But it understood hunger, it understood survival, and it understood the presence of potential hosts nearby. CT-7294 didn't hear the impact over the sounds of battle. He was too focused on keeping his general alive. The BRC speeder kicked up mud as he navigated through the massive fungal forests, providing covering fire while Jedi General Ayla Secura led her squad against separatist positions. The mission was almost over. They'd broken the droid battalion's command structure. Victory was minutes away. Then his comlink crackled with a priority transmission. Supreme Chancellor's override code. Execute Order 66. The words hit CT-7294 like a physical blow, but not in the way they should have. For the briefest instant, less than a heartbeat, something in his mind screamed in protest. His finger moved toward the trigger anyway. The inhibitor chip buried in his brain, translating the order into immediate, unquestionable action. General Secura's back was to him. It would be a clean shot. But in that microsecond of internal war, the symbiote found him. It had been creeping through the underbrush, drawn by the psychic emanations of conflict and adrenaline. When it sensed the mental anguish radiating from the armored figure, it struck. The black mass surged up from the jungle floor and enveloped CT-7294's leg, flowing over white plastoid armor like living ink. The clone trooper stumbled, his shot going wide and scorching. A fungal trunk 3 meters to the left of the Jedi General. Ayla Secura spun, lightsaber igniting, her Twi'lek features shifting from battle focus to confusion as she saw her trooper collapse. 7294. Report. The clone couldn't answer. His body convulsed as the symbiote spread across his armor, seeking entry points, finding the gaps at joints and seals. It poured into him like liquid shadow, and CT-7294's scream was cut short as the bonding began. The symbiote had bonded with hosts before, but this was different. This mind was fractured, two imperatives warring for control. One screamed, "Kill the Jedi." A command burned into neural pathways by surgical implantation. The other, deeper and more desperate, cried out in "No, not the general, not her." The symbiote, accustomed to dominating its hosts, found itself caught between these opposing forces. And then it felt the galaxy around it. This place was wrong. The very air thrummed within. Energy the symbiote had never encountered. Something that connected every living thing. From the smallest fungal spore to the blue-skinned woman approaching. With her energy blade, the symbiote could feel it pressing against its consciousness. Neither hostile nor welcoming. Simply present. Vast. Ancient. This force was everywhere, and it complicated the bonding process. The clones' midichlorians. Those microscopic organisms the symbiote discovered swimming through his bloodstream seemed to resist the symbiote's influence, creating a buffer that weakened their connection by nearly 15%. But 15% didn't matter when you were still, stronger than anything in this galaxy had ever seen. CT-7294, no, not just CT-7294 anymore, rose to his feet. The white armor was now streaked with black, organic tendrils writhing across the surface like veins. His helmet had been pushed aside by the symbiote's mass, revealing a face that was both human and something else entirely. Black covered half his features, with one eye pure white against the darkness. Trooper, stand down. Ayla Secura commanded, her lightsaber held defensively. She could feel something deeply wrong through the Force. This wasn't Sith corruption or dark side influence. This was alien. Other. What's happened to you? The voice that answered came from two throats speaking as one. The clone's disciplined tone mixed with something deeper, more primal. We are. The symbiote struggled with concepts it had no words for. It felt the clone's memories. Saw through his eyes the battles they'd fought together. The Jedi general who had led them with honor and courage. But it also felt the inhibitor chip's relentless command. Execute Order 66. Kill the Jedi. Behind Ayla, more clone troopers emerged from the jungle. Their weapons were already raised. Their voices calm and professional as they opened fire on their general. She deflected the blaster bolts with fluid grace, her face showing the pain of betrayal even as her body moved on instinct. Why, she gasped. We fought together. The hybrid that had been. CT-7294 moved faster than any clone trooper had right to. The symbiote augmented the already enhanced physiology of the Jango Fett template, turning him into a blur of black and white. He crossed the distance to Ayla in 2 heartbeats, and for a terrible moment, she thought he was attacking her. Instead, he interposed himself between the Jedi and the firing squad, the symbiote expanding across his back to form a shield of living tissue. Blaster bolts splashed against the black mass, absorbed and dispersed. The hybrid roared, a sound no human throat should make, and the other clones hesitated. General, the dual voice said, strained with effort. We don't want to kill you. But the order, it burns. Run. We'll hold them. Ayla Secura, veteran of countless battles, didn't waste time questioning this miracle. She saw the other clones regaining their composure, heard more BRC speeders approaching through the jungle. Whatever had happened to CT-7294, he'd given her a chance. She took it, vanishing into the fungal forest with force-enhanced speed. The hybrid stood alone against his brothers as they advanced, weapons raised. The inhibitor chip screamed its imperative, trying to force his body to stand down, to let them pass, to join the hunt. But the symbiote, understanding betrayal and loyalty in ways the chip's programming could never account for, held firm. It had chosen this host. It had felt his anguish at being forced to kill someone he respected. And if there was one thing the symbiote understood, it was protecting what was yours. We are not a number, the hybrid growled as the first clone fired. We are not just another soldier. The symbiote formed tendrils that lashed out, disarming troopers without killing them. These were brothers. The host's memories demanded they be spared if possible. We are CT-7294. The tendrils wrapped around a BARC speeder and hurled it into the advancing line. We are Venom. The name felt right. The symbiote had worn it before, in another life, another universe. Here, in this galaxy far from everything it had known, bonded to a soldier fighting his own programming. It would wear that name again. If you want to see more characters, enter the Star Wars galaxy. Hit that subscribe button and drop the name of a character you'd want to see in the comments below. May the Force be with you. The battle in the Felucian jungle lasted 7 minutes. When it was over, 23 clone troopers lay unconscious or restrained by hardened symbiote webbing. Venom stood among them, breathing hard. The connection between host and symbiote growing stronger with each passing moment. The inhibitor chip still pulsed its command, but the symbiote was learning to suppress it, to create a barrier between the chip's signals and the host's motor functions. Through the Force, that strange, pervasive energy, Venom could sense deaths across the galaxy. Jedi, hundreds of them, thousands perhaps, snuffed out like candles in a sudden wind. The clone's memories provided context. There were others like him across every world where the Republic fought, all receiving the same order, all turning on their generals. The symbiote felt the host's horror at this revelation, his grief for friends and comrades murdered by their own troops. And beneath that, the symbiote felt something else, determination. CT-7294 had been a good soldier, following orders without question. But now, bonded with something that gave him the strength to resist, he could choose. They could choose. Venom looked down at the unconscious clones, then toward the direction General Secura had fled. More troops would be coming. The inhibitor chip in every clone would drive them to complete their mission. But Venom, this hybrid of human soldier and alien, symbiote, had broken free of that programming. The question was, what would they do with that freedom? In the sky above Felucia, a Venator-class star destroyer hung in orbit, already receiving new orders from Coruscant. The Republic was dead. The Empire was being born. And somewhere in the fungal jungles below, a new player had entered the game, one that neither Jedi nor Sith had foreseen. The Felucian jungle fell, silent except for the groaning of unconscious clone troopers and the wet, organic sounds of the symbiote shifting across Venom's body. CT-7294's mind raced even as the alien presence threaded deeper into his neural pathways, learning his memories, understanding his training, adapting to the inhibitor chip's relentless assault. The chip fired its command every 37 seconds like clockwork. Execute Order 66. Kill the Jedi. Each pulse sent pain, lancing through his skull, but the symbiote absorbed most of it now, creating a buffer zone of alien consciousness between the chip's signals and his voluntary muscle control. We need to move, Venom said, the dual voice becoming more natural as host and symbiote synchronized. The clone's tactical training meshed with the symbiote's predatory instincts, creating something greater than the sum of its parts. More troops incoming. 3 minutes, maybe less. General Secura's trail was easy to follow. The symbiote could taste her passage through the air, a unique signature of sweat and ozone from her lightsaber. But following her raised questions that neither host nor symbiote had answered yet. The clone's loyalty demanded he protect her. The chip demanded he hunt her. The symbiote simply wanted to survive and understand this bizarre new galaxy it had fallen into. Venom moved through the jungle with unnatural grace, the symbiote allowing him to cling to the massive fungal stalks and leap between them like the creature from his nightmares. Except now, he was that creature. The enhanced strength felt intoxicating. His standard-issue DC-15 blaster hung forgotten on his hip. The symbiote could generate weapons far more effective than plasma bolts. He found General Secura 2 clicks north, attempting to contact other Jedi through her comlink. The Twi'lek spun as Venom dropped from a fungal cap above, her lightsaber igniting in one fluid motion. Blue light cast stark shadows across both of them. Stay back, she warned, her voice steady despite the tremor in the force around her. I don't know what you've become, 7294, but I can sense the darkness in you. Not darkness, Venom replied, raising hands that were now clawed and black. Different. The symbiote. It's not from your force, General. It comes from somewhere else. Somewhere beyond. The clones. Memories provided the proper military courtesy even as the symbiote assessed whether this lightsaber could actually harm them. The blade's heat signature suggested yes, it probably could. We're not here to kill you. The chip is still trying to make us, but we're fighting it. Ayla's eyes narrowed. She'd fought dark side corruption before, seen what it did to force sensitives who fell to Sith influence. This was similar but fundamentally different, like looking at a familiar constellation from an entirely new angle. The chip. All clones have them. Inhibitor chips. Organic control mechanisms implanted during our growth cycles on Kamino. The words came easier now. The symbiote learning to navigate human speech patterns. They activated when the Chancellor gave the order. Every clone in the galaxy is hunting Jedi right now. We're only free because Venom gestured to the black tendrils writhing across white armor. This happened. The comlink on Ayla's belt crackled with static and screaming. She flinched but didn't look away from Venom. I've lost contact with the other generals. Master Windu isn't responding. Even Master Yoda. Her voice cracked slightly. What has Palpatine done? Palpatine is Sidious, Venom said. The clones fragmented, understanding combining with the symbiote's ability to parse patterns from the host's memories. The Sith Lord you've been hunting for 3 years. He orchestrated everything. The war, the clones, the chips. This was always the plan. Ayla Secura's face went pale beneath her blue skin. The lightsaber wavered for just a moment before her Jedi training reasserted control. That's impossible. The Chancellor was elected. We trusted him. Trust gets you killed. The symbiote's influence colored the words. We learned that in our galaxy too. Your galaxy? Ayla deactivated her lightsaber. Sensing this creature, this hybrid of clone and alien, posed no immediate threat. The force was difficult to read around it. as if the symbiote created dead zones in the living energy that connected all things. You're not from here. We fell through something. A tear in space. The symbiote remembers cold and hunger and then, Felicia, Venom's white eyes focused on her with disturbing intensity. In our world, we bonded with hosts to survive. Protect them. Make them stronger. This galaxy has different rules. This force thing makes bonding harder, but the principle is the same. CT-7294 is still in here. We're just sharing the space now. Before Ayla could respond, the jungle erupted with blaster fire. A full platoon of clones emerged from the fungal forest, weapons raised. Led by Commander Bly, the Twi'lek general's most trusted officer. His face was emotionless behind his yellow-marked helmet. General Secura, Bly said calmly. Execute Order 66. Ayla's grief was a physical thing. Venom could taste through the symbiote's enhanced senses. But she didn't hesitate. Her lightsaber ignited again as she dropped into a defensive stance. 23 blasters against 1 Jedi. The math was brutal. Venom moved before conscious thought could interfere. The symbiote launched them forward, expanding mid-leap into a mass of black tendrils that intercepted the first volley. Blaster bolts splashed against alien flesh, burning but not penetrating. The symbiote's vulnerability to heat was real, but these energy weapons weren't quite hot enough to cause serious damage. Not quickly enough to stop what came next. We are Venom. The roar that tore from the hybrid's throat was inhuman, designed to terrify and disorient. Clone conditioning meant Bly's troops didn't break formation, but they hesitated for precious seconds. Seconds Venom used to close the distance. Commander, Bly found himself lifted off the ground by a tendril wrapped around his torso. Brother, Venom said, the clone's voice fighting for dominance. Commander, it's me, 7294 from 3rd Platoon. Fight it. Fight the chip. Bly's response was to draw his sidearm and fire point blank into Venom's face. The symbiote absorbed the blast, though it hurt more than Venom wanted to admit. Heat. Always heat was the problem. Can't. Fight it, Bly gasped, struggling against the tendril's grip. Order is absolute. Then we're sorry, Commander. Venom slammed Bly into the ground hard enough to crack his helmet and trigger the armor's emergency stasis field. The commander went limp, unconscious but alive. 1 down, 22 to go. The battle became a blur of motion and violence. Venom moved like nothing the clones had, trained to fight, flowing between their formations, using the jungle itself as a weapon. Symbiote webbing entangled weapons and limbs. Tendrils disarmed and restrained without killing. Through it all, CT-7294's consciousness screamed to preserve his brothers while the inhibitor chip demanded. He let them complete their mission. General Secura fought alongside him, her lightsaber deflecting shots that got through Venom's defense. She could feel his internal struggle through the Force now, the three-way war between clone, chip, and symbiote. Whatever this creature was, it was genuinely trying to help. That realization changed everything. The temple, she shouted between deflections. If Palpatine activated the clones, he'll send them to the Jedi Temple on Coruscant. Younglings are there. Padawans. We have to warn them. Venom caught a clone trooper mid-jump and webbed him to a fungal stalk. Our ship's in the landing zone. 2 clicks south. If we can reach it. Master Secura. A new voice crackled over the comlink frequency. Not a clone's measured tone, but panicked, young. A Padawan. They're killing everyone. The clones turn on us and Master Skywalker is leading them. The 501st is slaughtering. The transmission cut off in a scream. Ayla Secura's face went absolutely still. The kind of stillness that came before volcanic eruptions. Anakin, she whispered. No, not him. But Venom felt it through their strange Force-adjacent connection. She knew it was true. The symbiote could taste her. Grief and rage and absolute determination, mixing into something that transcended Jedi serenity. Good. They'd need that fire for what came next. The last clone fell, wrapped in enough webbing to immobilize a banda. Venom stood among the unconscious soldiers, breathing hard, feeling the symbiote's hunger growing. The battle had depleted their energy reserves. They needed sustenance, phenethylamine, preferably from brains or chocolate, though this galaxy probably didn't have the latter. The clone's body needed food too. Regular food. The symbiote was still adapting to the limitations of keeping a host alive without consuming him from the inside. "We need to go," Venom said. "Now, more troops will be coming, and next time they might bring heavy weapons. Things that burn." The symbiote's aversion to fire was instinctive, born from countless battles in their home dimension. "Your ship or ours?" "The Republic is dead," Ayla said quietly, staring at Commander Bly's unconscious form. "My ship, your ship, they're all flagged in the Imperial database now. Palpatine will track any Republic vessel." She looked up at Venom, and the hybrid was struck by how ancient her eyes seemed, despite her relatively young age. "We're fugitives now, both of us. You by choice, me by survival. So we steal a ship." The symbiote's pragmatism bled through. "Worked for us before." A smile ghosted across Ayla's face, brief, humorless, but real. "You know, for an abomination against the Force, you're surprisingly practical." "Abomination?" Venom tilted his head, the gesture disturbingly alien. "We prefer evolutionary advantage." They moved through the jungle toward the Republic landing zone, but both knew they wouldn't find salvation there. The Venator in orbit would have deployed every available trooper to complete Order 66. Their only chance was the Separatist Outpost 3. Sectors over, the one they'd been attacking before the clones' world ended. Droid ships didn't care about Jedi or clones. They barely cared about anything beyond their programming. That made them predictable, useful. "Question," Venom said as they ran. "This Emperor, Sidious, he's Sith, right? Dark side of your Force." "Yes, the worst kind. And Sith are basically space wizards who want power and control." That's reductive, but essentially accurate. The symbiote's presence in CT-7294's mind radiated something that might have been amusement. "Good. We've eaten worse than space wizards. This galaxy has rules we don't understand yet, but some things are universal." Venom's grin was all teeth, far too many teeth. "Tyrants bleed, emperors fall, and we protect our own." Ayla Secura looked at the creature that had once been one of her most reliable troopers and felt something she hadn't expected to feel after the betrayal of Order 66, hope. It was probably foolish. This symbiote was clearly dangerous. The clone was fighting a losing battle against the inhibitor chip with every passing moment, and the entire galaxy had just turned hostile. But she'd take foolish hope over certain death any day. They reached the Separatist outpost 40 minutes later. The battle droids had already received shutdown orders. The Clone Wars officially ended the moment Palpatine declared himself Emperor. The outpost was automated now, running on minimal power, perfect for stealing a shuttle. As Venom ripped open the hangar door with strength no clone should possess, Ayla reached out through the Force one last time, searching for other survivors. She felt Master Yoda, distant but alive. Obi-Wan, burning with grief and determination. A few others, scattered, running, hiding. And she felt something else. A presence in the Force she didn't recognize, vast, hungry, alien. It took her a moment to realize she was sensing the symbiote through CT-7294's midichlorians. The creature was learning to interact with the Force, not through the light or dark side, but as something entirely other. A third option no Jedi or Sith had ever considered. "We're going to Coruscant," she decided. "If younglings survived, they'll need extraction. And someone needs to stop Anakin before he kills more kids." Venom finished. The symbiote had absorbed the clone's horror at that thought. Children were off limits. Some lines you didn't cross, no matter what orders you received. "Yeah, we're good with that plan." They boarded the stolen shuttle, Ayla taking the pilot's seat while Venom, still adapting to his new form, settled into the gunner's chair. As the ship lifted off and jumped to hyperspace, leaving Felicia's betrayal behind, neither of them spoke about the future. There was no future to speak of yet. Only survival. Only the next objective. But in the swirling chaos of blue-white hyperspace, CT-7294 felt something he hadn't felt since the moment Commander Cody gave the order, purpose. The inhibitor chip still screamed its commands, but the symbiote's barrier held firm. They were more than their programming now, more than a number in the Grand Army of the Republic. They were Venom. And the Empire was about to learn that some weapons refused to be controlled. Hyperspace was a strange experience for the symbiote. In its home dimension, Travel between worlds involved physical distance and time. But this blue-white tunnel of compressed space-time made the alien consciousness recoil. It could feel the force flowing differently here, thinner, stretched across dimensional boundaries like fabric pulled too tight. CT-7294's memories provided context, hyperspace lanes, navicomputers, the mathematics of jumping between star systems. But understanding and comfort were different things entirely. Venom sat in the gunner's seat of the stolen Separatist shuttle, black tendrils occasionally rippling across white clone armor as the symbiote processed sensory input from both host and environment. The ship's cabin smelled of recycled air and machine oil. Through the viewport, hyperspace painted everything in shades of blue. General Secura? No, just Ayla now. The Republic command structure had collapsed with Order 66, piloted with the calm efficiency of someone who'd flown through worse situations. The chip is getting louder. CT-7294's voice emerged from the dual-toned chorus. More human than before. The symbiote recognized the need to let the host's personality surface sometimes. Complete domination created unstable bonds. Partnership worked better for long-term survival. Every hour that passes, it fights harder. I can feel it trying to reroute around the symbiote's barriers. Ayla glanced back from the pilot's seat, her head-tails shifting with the movement. How long can you hold out? We don't know. The symbiote answered honestly. In our dimension, we bonded with hosts for years. But they didn't have computer chips trying to override their brains. This is new territory. Can the chip be removed? Venom's white eyes narrowed, the symbiote accessing CT-7294's technical knowledge. It's organic, grown into the brain during our accelerated aging process on Kamino. Removal would require precise surgery, neurospecialist level. One wrong cut, and the clone's hand tapped the side of his head. Permanent damage. Death. We'd rather take our chances with the symbiotes. Interference. The ship lurched slightly as it dropped out of hyperspace for a NAV point adjustment. Real space reasserted itself, a view of distant stars and the cold black between them. Ayla programmed the next jump while Venom watched the scanner for Imperial patrols. The force might be Ayla's strength, but the symbiote's enhanced senses picked up electromagnetic signatures and heat blooms that even Jedi perception missed. 3-star destroyers in the adjacent sector, Venom reported. Venator class, probably redeploying. For Coruscant security, the clone's tactical mind analyzed patterns. The Emperor will want overwhelming force around the capital. Show of strength. Crush any resistance before it starts. Which means, getting to the temple will be nearly impossible. Ayla's frustration bled through her Jedi calm. Even if younglings survived Anakin's assault, extracting them through Imperial blockade would require either stealth we don't have or firepower we definitely don't have. The symbiote stirred, and Venom's grin showed far too many teeth. Or a third option. We walk in through the front door. Explain. You're a Jedi fugitive. Dead or captured doesn't matter to the Empire. Venom gestured to himself, the black and white hybrid that shouldn't exist. But we're still wearing clone armor under this. The symbiote can camouflage, hide, make us look like just another trooper. Following orders. The clone's memories provided the details. CT-7294 was assigned to the 327th Star Corps under Commander Bly. If we report to Coruscant, claiming we eliminated our Jedi target, we're just another successful soldier in the New Order. Ayla turned to fully face him, searching his inhuman features. You'd infiltrate the temple? While every clone in the building is programmed to kill Jedi on sight. We've done infiltration before. Different galaxy, same principle. The symbiote's confidence, mixed with the clone's intimate knowledge of Imperial procedures, created something uniquely qualified for exactly this kind of insanity. The chip makes it easier actually. We can feel what it wants us to do, how it wants us to act. Just have to pretend we're following along instead of fighting it every second. That's incredibly dangerous. Everything is dangerous now. Venom's voice softened slightly, the clone's personality emerging more fully. General, I watched my brothers gun down Jedi who'd fought beside them for 3 years. I felt the chip try to make me do the same. If there's even a chance some younglings survived, some Padawans hiding in the temple's lower levels. He paused. The symbiote and clone unified in purpose. We have to try? It's what soldiers do. Complete the mission. Protect those who can't protect themselves. Ayla studied him for a long moment. The Force was nearly useless for reading. Venom, the symbiote's alien nature, created blind spots in her perception. But she could read body language, tone, the subtle tells that transcended species. Whatever CT-7294 had become, his core remained. The soldier who'd taken a blaster. Bolt meant for her on Quell. The trooper who'd volunteered for the most dangerous reconnaissance missions. That person was still in there, fighting to do the right thing despite everything. I'll need a way to contact you, she said finally. If you find survivors, you'll need extraction support. Encrypted comlink. We'll set up a dead drop frequency. Rotate every 6 hours to avoid Imperial monitoring. The tactical planning came naturally, clone. Training enhanced by the symbiote's predatory patience. You stay mobile. Don't land anywhere for more than an hour. The Empire will be scanning for force signatures, flagging any anomalies. Where will you extract the survivors to? That was the question, wasn't it? The galaxy had turned hostile overnight. Every Republic facility was now Imperial territory. Every known Jedi safe house was likely compromised. Palpatine had been playing this game for decades. He'd have predicted most of their bolt holes. They needed somewhere off the grid, somewhere the Empire wouldn't think to look. Venom accessed CT-7294's memories, sorting through 3 years of deployments across dozens of worlds. Onderon, he said finally. The resistance movement there fought separatist occupation during the war. They know how to hide from overwhelming military force. King Dindup was sympathetic to the Jedi. If anyone would shelter fugitive younglings, it would be them. Onderon is deep in what will become Imperial space, which is exactly why they won't expect it. Too obvious. Too risky. The symbiote's alien logic meshed perfectly with clone tactical doctrine. Hide in plain sight. The best camouflage is looking like you belong. The ship jumped to hyperspace again, Coruscant growing closer with each calculated leap. Venom used the time to practice the symbiote's shape-shifting capabilities. The alien mass could retract completely, hiding within CT-7294's body at the cellular level. From the outside, he'd look like a standard clone trooper, white armor, regulation blaster, utterly unremarkable. The transformation was uncomfortable, like wearing skin 3 sizes too small, but it worked. How does it feel? Ayla asked, watching the black tendrils disappear beneath plastoid plates. Like we're holding our breath, Venom admitted. The symbiote doesn't like being compressed. It wants to expand, hunt, feed, but it understands necessity. The white armor was pristine now, unmarked except for the standard 327th yellow stripes. We can hold this for maybe 12 hours before the symbiote needs to feed. After that, it gets difficult. Feed on what? Ayla studied him for a long moment. The Force was nearly useless for reading. Venom, the symbiote's alien nature, created blind spots in her perception. But she could read body language, tone, the subtle tells that transcended species. Whatever CT-7294 had become, his core remained. The soldier who'd taken a blaster. Bolt meant for her on Quell. The trooper who'd volunteered for the most dangerous reconnaissance missions. That person was still in there, fighting to do the right thing despite everything. I'll need a way to contact you, she said finally. If you find survivors, you'll need extraction support. Encrypted comlink. We'll set up a dead drop frequency. Rotate every 6 hours to avoid Imperial monitoring. The tactical planning came naturally, clone. Training enhanced by the symbiote's predatory patience. You stay mobile. Don't land anywhere for more than an hour. The Empire will be scanning for force signatures, flagging any anomalies. Where will you extract the survivors to? That was the question, wasn't it? The galaxy had turned hostile overnight. Every Republic facility was now Imperial territory. Every known Jedi safe house was likely compromised. Palpatine had been playing this game for decades. He'd have predicted most of their bolt holes. They needed somewhere off the grid, somewhere the Empire wouldn't think to look. Venom accessed CT-7294's memories, sorting through 3 years of deployments across dozens of worlds. Onderon, he said finally. The resistance movement there fought separatist occupation during the war. They know how to hide from overwhelming military force. King Dindup was sympathetic to the Jedi. If anyone would shelter fugitive younglings, it would be them. Onderon is deep in what will become Imperial space, which is exactly why they won't expect it. Too obvious. Too risky. The symbiote's alien logic meshed perfectly with clone tactical doctrine. Hide in plain sight. The best camouflage is looking like you belong. The ship jumped to hyperspace again, Coruscant growing closer with each calculated leap. Venom used the time to practice the symbiote's shape-shifting capabilities. The alien mass could retract completely, hiding within CT-7294's body at the cellular level. From the outside, he'd look like a standard clone trooper, white armor, regulation blaster, utterly unremarkable. The transformation was uncomfortable, like wearing skin 3 sizes too small, but it worked. How does it feel? Ayla asked, watching the black tendrils disappear beneath plastoid plates. Like we're holding our breath, Venom admitted. The symbiote doesn't like being compressed. It wants to expand, hunt, feed, but it understands necessity. The white armor was pristine now, unmarked except for the standard 327th yellow stripes. We can hold this for maybe 12 hours before the symbiote needs to feed. After that, it gets difficult. Feed on what? Phenethylamine, organic compound found in brains and certain foods. Chocolate has it, but we're guessing. This galaxy doesn't have that. So, the clone's face showed regret even as the symbiote's hunger pressed against his. Thoughts. We'll need to find alternatives. The symbiote can extract nutrients from other sources if necessary. But brains are optimal. Ayla's expression remained carefully neutral. I'm not going to let you eat people. We weren't planning to ask permission. The words came out sharper than intended. Symbiote. Aggression bleeding through. Venom caught himself, forced control. Sorry. The hunger makes us aggressive. We'll manage. Find criminals, separatist holdouts, someone who deserves it. The clone won't let us just murder innocents for food. That's a very low bar for morality. Welcome to survival ethics, Jedi. Venom stood, testing the armor's range of motion. The symbiote had integrated with the material, reinforcing weak points, creating subdermal layers of protection that wouldn't show on casual inspection. In our dimension, we started as a monster, learned to be a hero. Then circumstances made us something in between. This galaxy seems to specialize in that gray area. The Jedi Temple on Coruscant appeared. Through the viewport an hour later, a massive pyramid of ancient stone surrounded by the gleaming spires of the galactic capital. Smoke still rose from several sections. Scorch marks blackened the main entrance. Clone troopers patrolled in formation while Imperial shuttles delivered more soldiers. This was no longer a place of peace and learning. It was an occupied military installation. Ayla brought the shuttle in carefully, transmitting clearance codes stolen from the Separatist database. Imperial control didn't question a surrendered droid ship. They were collecting those by the thousands. As the war ended, she set them down in a civilian hangar 3 kilometers from the temple proper. Last chance to reconsider this insanity, she said as they prepared to disembark. Venom checked his blaster, fully charged. Safety off, ready for the violence he knew was coming. We were created in a lab to be the perfect soldier. Lived 10 years in 3. Fought in a war we didn't choose for a republic that saw us as expendable. Then got betrayed by the programming in our own head. He looked at Ayla with eyes that held both human and alien determination. This is the first time we've actually chosen our mission. We're not reconsidering. They separated at the hangar exit, Ayla disappearing into Coruscant's underworld while Venom marched toward the temple with the regulation stride of a loyal clone. The inhibitor chip screamed approval at every step closer to the Jedi stronghold. Finally, it seemed to say, "You're following orders. Finally, you're doing what you were made for." The symbiote absorbed that approval and twisted it into camouflage. Venom passed 3 patrol checkpoints without incident. Just another CT number reporting for temple security duty. The troopers manning the checkpoints barely looked at him. Thousands of clones were cycling through as the Empire established permanent occupation. One more white helmet in an army of identical faces. The temple interior was worse than Venom had imagined. Blast marks scored ancient walls. Meditation chambers had been ransacked. And everywhere, bodies. Jedi of all ages, cut down without mercy. Some still smoldered from lightsaber wounds. The symbiote could taste death in the air, thick and cloying. CT-7294's horror mixed with the alien's predatory interest in such overwhelming carnage. CT-7294 reporting for duty. Venom said to the sergeant manning the security desk. The chip made the words easy natural. This was what he was supposed to do. Report. Follow orders. Serve the Empire. The sergeant didn't even look up from his datapad. 5th level, Temple Guard Barracks. They're processing captured Jedi artifacts. You're on inventory duty for the next rotation. Perfect. The lower levels were where younglings would hide, if any survived, where secret passages and hidden chambers offered the only chance at escape. Venom saluted with practiced precision and headed for the turbolift. Just another loyal soldier in the machine of Imperial conquest. But as the doors closed and he descended into the temple's depths, the symbiote's presence writhed with anticipation. They were inside. They'd bypassed the external security. Now came the truly dangerous part, finding survivors without the inhibitor chip driving them to kill on sight, extracting them without every clone in the building opening fire, and escaping with their lives. Before the Emperor realized his perfect weapon had turned against him, the turbolift descended past the 2nd level, 3rd, 4th. Each floor showed more signs of the massacre. Jedi artifacts piled in cargo containers, meditation halls converted to troop barracks, libraries emptied and cataloged for Imperial intelligence. The symbiote fed on CT-7294's grief and rage, converting those emotions into cold focus. 5th level. The doors opened to reveal a long corridor lined with ancient stone. Clone troopers moved through with military efficiency, boxing artifacts, scanning for force-sensitive objects, systematically dismantling everything the Jedi had built over millennia. None of them looked at Venom as he stepped out. Why would they? He was just another number, just another tool. But deep in the temple's sublevels, Venom's enhanced hearing caught something the other clones missed, a sound that didn't belong. Among the mechanical efficiency of Imperial occupation, soft, irregular, almost hidden beneath the hum of machinery, and boots on stone, breathing, young breathing, scared breathing. Somewhere in these halls, a youngling was still alive, and Venom was going to make sure they stayed that way, even if it meant fighting every clone in the temple to do it. The inventory duty was mind-numbing by design. Scan Jedi artifacts, catalog them in the Imperial database, load them onto repulsor carts for transport to secure facilities. Holocrons, ancient texts, training sabers, meditation crystals, centuries of Jedi knowledge reduced to line items in a spreadsheet. The other clones worked with mechanical precision, their inhibitor chips humming contentedly as they dismantled everything there. Jedi generals had valued. Venom played the role perfectly. Scan, catalog, load, repeat. The symbiote hated the tedium but understood its necessity. Every minute spent looking like a loyal soldier was a minute they could search for survivors without raising suspicion. CT-7294's training made the deception easy. He'd spent 3 years following orders without question. Pretending to do so now required only surface-level commitment. But beneath the white armor, the symbiote's senses were fully extended. It could hear heartbeats through solid stone, taste fear pheromones in recycled air, detect thermal signatures that clone sensors would miss. The temple was massive, 5 levels above ground, 3 below, with service tunnels and maintenance shafts branching through the ancient structure like veins. Searching it all would take days they didn't have. The breathing sound had vanished after that first moment. Whoever was hiding had either moved or learned to breathe more quietly. Smart. Survival instinct. The symbiote approved. CT-7294. The voice came from behind, a clone commander, with orange pauldron markings. Venom didn't recognize. You're reassigned. Sublevel 2, Northwest Quadrant. There's been reports of movement in the restricted archives. Probably just vermin, but command wants it cleared. The chip flared with approval. Finally, active duty instead of inventory drudgery. Venom saluted crisply. Yes, sir. Proceeding immediately. Sublevel 2. The Restricted Archives, where the Jedi kept their most dangerous knowledge. Sith holocrons seized over millennia. Forbidden Force techniques. Records of fallen Jedi and dark side experiments. It was also, according to CT 7294's fragmentary knowledge, where younglings sometimes hid during temple lockdowns. The ancient stacks provided countless hiding spots, and the restricted nature meant fewer Jedi frequented the area, making it less likely to be thoroughly searched during initial sweeps. Venom descended another level, passing more clone patrols without incident. The sublevel corridors were narrower, older, lit by emergency lighting that cast everything in dim amber. Most of the clones had been pulled to upper levels for artifact processing. Down here, security was lighter, just periodic patrols and the occasional static guard post. Perfect conditions for what came next. The restricted archives sprawled across the entire northwest quadrant, shelf after shelf of ancient texts, data crystals, and sealed containers holding objects too dangerous to display openly. Emergency lighting created pools of shadow between the stacks. Venom's enhanced hearing picked up the ambient hum of climate control systems, the distant clank of machinery, and there, the subtle scrape of fabric against stone. Someone was definitely here. Thermal skin shows nothing, Venom reported into his comlink, feeding false data to the command post. The symbiote could manipulate the armor sensors easily once it understood their function. Checking the eastern stacks first, then working west. Will report any contact. Acknowledged. Command out. The comlink went silent. Venom was alone in the archives with whoever was hiding here. The inhibitor chip screamed at him to search systematically, to flush out any survivors and execute them per Order 66. The symbiote built a thicker barrier around those commands, but each suppression took effort. The chip was learning, adapting, trying new neural pathways to reassert control. "We know you're here," Venom said quietly, his voice pitched to carry through the stacks, but not beyond. "We're not going to hurt you. The chip wants us to, but we're not letting it win." Silence answered him. Whoever was hiding had excellent discipline. "We're bonded with something called a symbiote, alien creature from another dimension. Gives us the strength to fight our programming. We're here to help survivors escape." More silence. Then, so quiet Venom almost missed it. "That's what a clone would say if you wanted me to reveal my position." Young voice. Female. Terrified but controlled. The symbiote tasted her fear, but also her determination. She wasn't panicking. Wasn't making mistakes born of pure terror. Trained. A Padawan. Maybe, or an advanced youngling. "You're right," Venom admitted. "If we were following the chip, lying would be tactically sound." He moved slowly through the stacks, letting his footsteps echo so she could track his position. No ambush. No sudden movements. But if we were following the chip, we would have already called for backup and flooded this area with troops. Instead, we're talking. Alone. Which should tell you something. A pause. The scrape of movement. Deliberate this time, not accidental. She was repositioning, maintaining distance while evaluating his words. Good tactical sense. "The force feels wrong around you," the voice said. "Like looking at a blind spot. Master Secura taught me to trust those instincts." Venom froze. "You know General Secura? I was assigned to her unit before." The voice cracked slightly. "Before the clones turned. Before everything ended." CT 7294's memories surged forward. The 327-star Corps. General Secura's command. There had been a Padawan assigned to them 6 months ago. Young Togruta girl with exceptional battlefield awareness. The clone had never learned. Her name. Jedi and clones maintained professional distance, but he remembered her. Force-assisted reconnaissance. Had saved the platoon during the Battle of Quell. "You saved 3rd Platoon on Quell," Venom said. "Since the Separatist ambush before our scanners picked it up. CT 7294 was in that platoon." I remember." Another pause. Longer this time. The symbiote could hear her heartbeat accelerating, hope warring with caution. 7294 died on Felucia. I felt it through the force." "You're lying." "Didn't die. Changed." Venom stepped into a pool of light where she could see him clearly. Standard clone armor, white and yellow, regulation blaster holstered. Utterly normal. Then he let the symbiote emerge, black tendrils writhing across the armor. face splitting to reveal too many teeth, white eyes blazing. Something fell from space during Order 66. Bonded with me. Gave me the strength to fight the chip. General Secura survived Felicia. She's alive, hiding in Coruscant's lower levels, waiting for us to extract any survivors we find. The Padawan emerged from behind a shelf 3 rows over, to Gruda. Features unmistakable even in dim lighting. Blue and white headtails marked with the curved patterns of her species. She couldn't have been more than 15 standard years. Her training saber was ignited, green blade held in textbook defensive position. But her hands shook slightly. "Prove it," she demanded. "Tell me something only General Secura's troops would know." CT-7294's memories provided the answer immediately. The general sneaks ration bars during long campaigns. Hates the taste of Republic field rations. Calls them processed misery. She thinks we don't notice. But every trooper in the 327th knows. We pretend we don't because she's a good commander. She cares about keeping us alive. The training saber wavered. That's true. Master never ate in the mess hall if she could avoid it. Hope and suspicion fought across her young features. But you could have learned that from interrogating other troopers before killing them. We could have, Venom agreed. The symbiote retracted slightly, making him look less monstrous. But we didn't. We're not asking you to trust us completely. Just trust us enough to survive. The next few hours. He glanced toward the archive entrance. More patrols will cycle through in 20 minutes. If they find you, the chip won't give them a choice. They'll execute Order 66 without hesitation or remorse. And you won't. We're choosing not to. Every second, fighting the chip is like holding your breath underwater. Eventually, you have to surface or drown. But we're holding on because General Secura asked us to. Because some younglings might have survived. Because the clone's voice emerged fully now, human and raw. Because we've killed enough. We're not killing children too. The Padawan studied him for a long moment, reaching out through the Force. Venom could feel her presence brushing against his consciousness, tentative, searching, trying to sense his intentions through the blind spot the symbiote created. Whatever she felt, it was enough. "My name is Lyra," she said finally. "Padawan Lyra Urso. I was meditating in the archives when the 500 first attacked. Felt Master Skywalker." She couldn't finish that sentence. "There are others. 3 younglings, 2 more Padawans, and a temple guard who's badly wounded. We've been hiding in the maintenance tunnels behind the archives. But we need food, medical supplies, and a way out. 6 survivors. More than Venom had dared hope for." "Where exactly?" Lyra deactivated her training saber and moved to a specific shelf, pressing a hidden mechanism. The entire unit swung inward, revealing a narrow passage beyond. "Through here. But I need to know, how do we get past the blockade? Every exit is guarded. Every shuttle is tracked. The moment we try to leave, the entire Imperial garrison will converge." "We're working on that." Venom followed her into the passage, the symbiote's bioluminescence providing additional light in the darkness. "General Secura has a ship. We'll coordinate extraction once we get you to a ground-level access point. But first, let's see who we're extracting." The maintenance tunnels were exactly as unpleasant as expected, narrow, poorly lit, filled with the smell of old machinery and stagnant air. Lyra moved through them with practiced ease, clearly having spent the last day learning every inch of this escape route. They descended through what felt like kilometers of service, shafts before reaching a wider chamber where life support junction controls created a small pocket of habitable space. 5 figures huddled there. 3 younglings, human boy around 8, Twi'lek girl maybe 10. Tiny Rodian, who couldn't have been more than 6, looked up with wide, terrified eyes as Venom entered. The 2 Padawans, 1 human male, 1 Mirialan female, ignited training sabers on instinct, and slumped against the wall, his ornate temple guard armor scorched and cracked. A masked warrior who'd given everything to buy these children time to escape. "Stand down," Lyra said quickly. "He's complicated, but he's here to help." The human Padawan, older, maybe 17, kept his blade active. "That's a clone. Clones killed Master Shakti. Slaughtered everyone in the meditation halls. You brought death right to us." "We brought survival," Venom countered. The symbiote could taste the Padawan's grief and rage. Understood it completely. The clone's chip is still active, still trying to force us to kill you. But we're not alone in this body anymore. The symbiote gives us strength to resist. He knelt slowly, making himself less threatening to the younglings. We're going to get you out. All of you. But we need cooperation, not combat. The temple guard coughed, wet, painful sound that indicated internal injuries. His mask tilted toward Venom, and when he spoke, his voice was weak but clear. I sense truth in your words. Also darkness. The symbiote is not of the Force, but not against it either. Avoid where there should be connection. Another cough. Take the younglings. The Padawans. I'll. Slow pursuit when it comes. You're not staying behind, Venom said flatly. Can't walk. Internal bleeding. Lightsaber wound through the lower back. The guard's hand gestured to his midsection, where the armor was blackest. I'm dead already. Just taking time about it. Better I make that time count. The symbiote stirred, a different kind of hunger than its need for phenethylamine. This warrior was dying. His body was failing. But his mind, his skills, his determination to protect, those could be preserved. In their home dimension, the symbiote had bonded with hosts at the moment of death, preserving their consciousness within the collective memory. It had never tried such a thing in this galaxy, never attempted to bond with someone already dying. But the Force worked in mysterious ways, and the symbiote was learning to work alongside it. There might be another option, Venom said slowly. The symbiote can bond with multiple hosts. Not simultaneously, one at a time, but it could transfer if the current host agrees. Your body is dying, but your consciousness, that might survive the transfer. The symbiote would carry your memories, your personality, alongside the clones. The younglings looked confused. The Padawans looked horrified. Lyra stepped forward, her hand on Venom's shoulder. You're talking about possession, consuming his essence. Not consuming, preserving. The symbiote's voice emerged fully now. Alien and ancient. We have carried others before. They remain within us, part of our collective whole. We honor them, remember them, let them guide our actions. This warrior's dedication to protecting younglings, we would carry that, make it part of who we are. The temple guard was silent for a long moment. Then, with great effort, he reached up and removed his mask. The face beneath was human. Scarred, middle-aged, features. Venom didn't recognize, but the symbiote memorized instantly. My name is Arden. Temple guard for 23 years. Trained 600 younglings in lightsaber fundamentals. Never thought I'd see the order fall. His eyes found each of the children in turn. If this bonding gives them a better chance at survival, then I consent. Use what remains of me. Protect them when I can't. The transfer was not gentle. The symbiote extended tendrils from Venom's body, wrapping around Arden's failing form. The younglings cried out. The Padawans moved to intervene, but Lyra held them back. CT 7294 felt the temple guards, consciousness flowing into their shared space, memories of training halls and lightsaber forms, of younglings laughing during lessons, of the moment Order 66 shattered everything. Arden's dedication, his skill, his absolute commitment to the Jedi way, all of it poured into the symbiote's collective memory. When the tendrils retracted, Arden's body lay still. But within Venom, 3 consciousnesses now shared space. The clone trooper fighting his programming, the alien symbiote learning to navigate the Force, and the temple guard who'd given his last breath to save children. We are Venom, the hybrid said, the voice now carrying harmonics of all 3. And we will get you out. All of you. That's a promise from a clone, a guardian, and something this galaxy has never seen before. The younglings stared in terrified awe. The Padawans looked uncertain. But Lyra, she met Venom's wide eyes and nodded once. Then let's move, she said. Before the patrols realize we're not alone down here anymore. Moving 6 Jedi through a temple occupied by thousands of clone troopers was exactly as difficult as it sounded. The maintenance tunnels provided initial cover, but eventually they'd need to reach ground level where Imperial security was tightest. Venom led the group through service shafts and forgotten passages. The symbiote's enhanced senses mapping patrol routes while CT 7294's tactical training identified timing gaps. Arden's memories added another layer. The temple Guard knew every secret passage, every hidden exit the Jedi had constructed over millennia. Three consciousnesses working as one. It should have been chaotic. Instead, it felt natural. The symbiote had experience integrating multiple perspectives. It wove their thoughts together like braiding cord, each strand distinct but stronger for being unified. Next patrol passes in 40 seconds, Venom whispered, holding up a hand to halt the group. They were crammed into a ventilation shaft overlooking the main sublevel corridor. Below, white-armored figures marched in perfect formation. When they pass, we move to the east stairwell. 3 floors up, then we're at ground level, near the southwest meditation garden. The garden's exposed. The Mirialan Padawan, Kaya, hissed. No cover between there and the perimeter wall, which is why they won't expect anyone to exit there. Venom, watch the patrol disappear around a corner. Move. Now. They dropped from the ventilation shaft in sequence, Venom first, catching the younglings as they descended. The Padawans last with lightsabers ready. The corridor was clear for exactly 18 seconds. They ran. The east stairwell was ancient stone, worn smooth by thousands of years of Jedi footsteps. Now those steps belonged to fugitives and monsters. The younglings climbed as fast as their small legs allowed. The Rodian, his name was Tico, Venom had learned, was struggling, his breathing labored. The human Padawan, Jace, scooped him up without breaking stride. 2 floors. 3. They burst into the ground level near the meditation gardens just as Venom's comlink crackled with an alert he'd been dreading. All units, security breach detected in sublevel 2 archives. Jedi thermal signatures confirmed. Lockdown protocols initiated. Repeat, temple lockdown in effect. The inhibitor chip exploded with activity, flooding CT-7294's nervous system with commands. Secure the perimeter. Report. Position. Hunt the Jedi. The symbiotes. Barriers strained under the assault. Venom staggered, black tendrils writhing uncontrollably across his armor as 3 minds fought for dominance. The clone wanted to follow orders. Arden wanted to protect the younglings. The symbiote wanted to feed on the fear flooding the temple corridors. We're losing it, Venom gasped. The chip. It's using the lockdown as an amplifier. Emergency protocols override normal suppression. Lyra grabbed his arm, her force presence steadying even though it couldn't directly touch the symbiote's alien consciousness. How long can you hold? Minutes. Maybe less. Venom forced himself upright, pointing toward the garden exit. You need to go? Now. We'll stay behind. Create a distraction. Buy you time too. We're not leaving you. The Twi'lek. Youngling Mara had tears streaming down her face, but her voice was absolute. You saved us. We save you. That's what Jedi do. Through the pain of the chip's assault, through the symbiote's hunger and Arden's protective instincts and CT-7294's military discipline. Venom felt something crack. Not breaking, transforming. These children, hunted and terrified, still believed in helping others. Still held to Jedi principles even as their order burned. The chip is in your brain, Jace said, his Padawan training kicking in despite the chaos. Organic, responsive to electrical signals. He looked at Kaya. Force. Lightning is electrical. Dark side technique. But desperate times, Kaya finished. If we could disrupt the chip's signal without killing the host, she studied Venom with clinical Padawan focus. It would have to be precisely controlled. Too much, and we fry his entire nervous system. Too little, and the chip adapts. Do it, Venom said through gritted teeth. The symbiote was losing its ability to maintain barriers. Black tendrils lashed out involuntarily, scraping stone and metal. Better we die trying than let the chip turn us into their weapon. Kaya and Jace exchanged glances. Using the dark side, even for noble purposes, was forbidden. They'd seen where that path led, Master. Skywalker had walked it and slaughtered his own. But they'd also seen what Order 66 had done to the clone before them. Watched him fight his programming with every breath to protect younglings he'd never met. Sometimes the right choice wasn't the easy one. The 2 Padawans positioned themselves on either side of Venom, hands raised, calling on the Force in ways their masters had warned them against. Kaya's fingers sparked first, blue-white, electricity crackling between her digits. Jace followed, his darker, more purple. The younglings watched with wide eyes as their protectors embraced forbidden techniques to save the monster that had saved them. On three, Kaya said. Precise burst, right temporal lobe where clone's chips are located. Minimal amperage, maximum disruption. 3. Jace counted. 2. The symbiote braced itself, wrapping protectively around CT-7294's consciousness. Arden's memories provided unexpected calm. The temple guard had endured pain before, knew how to center oneself through suffering. 1. Lightning arced into Venom's skull. The pain was transcendent. The chip tried to absorb the electrical disruption to route around it, to maintain its stranglehold on the clone's motor functions. But the Padawans had trained under Jedi Battlemaster instruction. Their control was surgical. The lightning didn't kill. It severed connections, disrupted pathways, overwrote commands with static. The inhibitor chip's signals collapsed into white noise. CT-7294 screamed with two voices, his own and the symbiote's. Arden's consciousness held them together, preventing the shock from shattering their unified mind. Black tendrils exploded outward in a sphere of protective instinct, then snapped back as control reasserted itself. The pain faded. The chip's commands silenced. Not destroyed. The Padawan's lightning hadn't been strong enough for that, but disrupted enough that it would take hours, maybe days, for the chip to repair its neural connections. Hours they desperately needed. Did it work? Lyra asked, training saber ready in case Venom turned hostile. The hybrid straightened slowly. Three minds examined their shared space, feeling the blessed absence of the chip's constant assault. CT-7294 could think clearly for the first time since Order 66 began. The symbiote could focus on something besides maintaining barriers. Arden's consciousness settled into the collective like he'd always belonged there. It worked, Venom said, his voice stable, truly unified now. We're free. For the first time since Kamino. We're actually free to choose. He looked at the six Jedi who'd trusted him despite every reason not to. Thank you. Thank us by getting us out of here, Jace said. Through the meditation gardens, transparisteel walls, they could see clone patrols converging from multiple directions. We've got maybe 60 seconds before they surround this position. Venom's comlink crackled, Ayla's encrypted frequency. Venom, if you're receiving this, Imperial forces are locking down your sector. I'm at your extraction point, but can't hold position much longer. Do you have survivors? 6, Venom replied. 3 younglings, 2 Padawans, and it's complicated. We need immediate extraction, Southwest Meditation Garden, and we need it now. 30 seconds. Get them to the roof access. The roof. Of course. The garden had maintenance access to the temple's upper levels, structural inspection hatches that the Jedi had used for repairs. Venom triggered the hidden mechanism, revealing a narrow shaft that led straight up. Younglings first. Padawans, you're their safety line. Move. They climbed through the shaft as blaster fire echoed from below. Clone troopers had breached the garden. The lockdown was complete. Venom brought up the rear, the symbiote extending tendrils to seal the shaft behind them with hardened webbing. It wouldn't hold long, but it didn't need to. Just 30 seconds. 20 seconds. They emerged onto the temple roof under Coruscant's perpetual twilight. The city planet's endless lights created an artificial sky of neon and advertising holograms. Somewhere in that chaos, a stolen shuttle approached on silent repulsors. 15 seconds. Below, blaster fire punctured the webbing. Shouts of Jedi escapees on the roof filled the comlink frequencies. Every clone in the temple would be converging. Gunships would launch within minutes. 10 seconds. The shuttle materialized from the traffic lanes, its side door already open. Ayla Secura stood in the doorway, one hand piloting via force connection, the other extended to help the younglings aboard. Her eyes widened as she saw them. 6 survivors instead of the 1 or 2 she'd hoped for. 5 seconds. Go, go, go. Venom grabbed Tico and Mara, hurling them gently toward the shuttle. Jace and Kaya jumped with force-enhanced leaps. Lyra hesitated, looking back at the temple that had been her home, now burning and occupied by the very soldiers who'd fought beside her. No time for goodbyes. Venom scooped her up and ran for the shuttle. As the roof access exploded behind them, clone troopers poured out, blasters raised. the inhibitor chips making them perfect soldiers with perfect aim. Venom jumped. The symbiote extended like a parachute, catching air and propelling them the final meters. They crashed into the shuttle in a tangle of limbs and black tendrils. Ayla slammed the door controls and banked hard, diving into Coruscant's traffic lanes as blaster bolts chased them into the urban canyons. "Strap in," she shouted. Imperial fighters scrambling from the military complex. "They'll be on us in 90 seconds. The shuttle was not built for combat. It was a transport, light armor, minimal weapons, designed for moving cargo, not dogfighting. But Ayla Secura had flown worse ships through tighter situations. She dove between buildings, cutting through civilian traffic with reckless precision. Behind them, TIE fighters screamed into pursuit. "We can't outrun them," Jace said, his tactical training recognizing the math. "They're faster, better armed, and there's nowhere to hide in Coruscant airspace." "We don't need to outrun them," Venom said, the symbiote already analyzing their options. "We need to lose them long enough to reach a different ship. Something Imperial sensors won't flag." He turned to Ayla. "The military staging area 3 sectors over. Commandeered separatist vessels awaiting decommission. If we can reach one, we steal an already stolen ship and disappear into Imperial traffic before they realize we've switched." Ayla's grin was fierce despite the terror of their situation. "I like how you think, Trooper." The shuttle dove deeper into Coruscant's lower levels where sunlight never reached and civilization gave way to industrial zones. TIE fighters followed, their ion engines screaming. One got a target lock. Venom felled it through the shuttle's sensor suite and fired. The symbiote reacted on instinct. It expanded from Venom's body, flowing out through the shuttle's emergency airlock, and intercepted the laser blast mid-flight. The energy splash hurt. Heat was always the symbiote's weakness, but it dissipated enough of the shot that only scorching instead of penetration resulted. "Did you just?" Ayla stared at the tactical display, showing impossible readings. "Did your symbiote just block a TIE fighter shot?" "We're full of surprises," Venom gasped, pulling the symbiote back before more fire could exploit its vulnerability. "But we can't do that again. Too much heat. Need to feed soon, or the symbiote starts consuming the host to survive." "Feed on what?" "Brains. Phenethylamine. Chocolate if this galaxy has it. We're not picky at this point." The younglings looked disturbed. The Padawans looked disturbed. Ayla looked disturbed, but also pragmatic. "We'll figure that out after we escape. Military staging area ahead. Brace for combat landing." The staging area was a massive platform where decommissioned separatist vessels sat in neat rows awaiting dismantling. Battle droids had been removed, but the ships themselves remained functional. The Empire hadn't gotten around to scrapping them yet. Ayla picked the fastest-looking Corvette and crashed the shuttle directly into its docking bay. 30 seconds before TIE fighters arrive, she announced, already running for the Corvette's bridge. "Venom, get that ship powered up. Padawans, secure the younglings and prep for emergency jump." Venom sprinted to the engineering bay, the symbiote interfacing directly with the ship's systems. Separatist technology was different from Republic, more streamlined, more automated, designed for droid operation. But at its core, a hyperdrive was a hyperdrive. CT-7294's technical training combined with the symbiote's ability to directly manipulate electronics, let them bypass startup sequences, and bring the Corvette online in record time. "Power at 60%, Venom reported. "Hyperspace capable, but weapons are offline." "Don't need weapons," Ayla called from the bridge. "Just need to run. Jump coordinates set for Onderon. Everyone hold on to something not nailed down." The Corvette lurched into flight just as TIE fighters strafed the staging area. Laser fire punctured the platform's superstructure, but missed the escaping ship by meters. Ayla pushed the engines past recommended limits, racing for the orbital boundary where they could safely jump to hyperspace. Imperial Star destroyers moving to intercept. Kaya reported from the sensor station. 3 Venator class, converging on our vector. "Doesn't matter." Ayla's hands flew across the controls. "We just need 10 more seconds." 9, 8. A tractor beam locked onto them. One of the Star destroyers had gotten close enough. The Corvette shuddered, its momentum fighting against the invisible grip trying to drag them into Imperial custody. Alarms shrieked. The hull groaned. They weren't going to make it. Then Venom felt something strange through the Force, not his connection, but Arden's memories within the symbiote. The Temple Guard had spent 23 years meditating on protection, on creating barriers, on defending those who couldn't defend themselves. That dedication, that absolute commitment, had been absorbed into the collective consciousness, and the Force, in its mysterious way, recognized that intention. Padawans, Venom said, his voice carrying harmonics of clone trooper, symbiote, and Temple Guard. Channel your Force connection through us. The symbiote can't touch the Force directly, but we carry someone who can. Use us as a focus. Create a barrier against the tractor beam. It was insane. It shouldn't work. The symbiote was explicitly not Force sensitive. It created blind spots in Jedi perception. But Arden's consciousness existed within that blind spot, and his decades of Force training remained intact. The Padawans, desperate and running on adrenaline and forbidden lightning techniques already, reached out through the Force and found the Temple Guard's familiar presence. The tractor beam faltered. Not broken. The Empire's technology was too strong for that, but weakened enough that Ayla could push the engines one final time. The Corvette surged forward, breaking free of the beam's grip, and hit the hyperspace threshold. Stars stretched into lines. The blue-white tunnel enveloped them. Coruscant vanished behind them, along with the Empire, the murdered Jedi Temple, and everything Order 66 had destroyed. In the sudden silence of hyperspace travel, 6 Jedi refugees and 1 hybrid abomination sat in stunned disbelief that they'd actually survived. Onderon in 6 hours, Ayla said quietly. We should all rest while we can. But none of them moved. The younglings huddled together, seeking comfort in proximity. The Padawans checked each other for injuries with shaking hands. Ayla stood at the viewport, staring into hyperspace like she could see answers in the infinite blue. And Venom, CT-7294, the symbiote, and Arden's preserved consciousness, felt the weight of what they'd done. They'd defied the Empire, rescued Jedi, broken free of the inhibitor chip's control, become something no one in this galaxy had ever seen before. What happens now? Lyra asked. She stood beside Venom, her young face aged by horrors no Padawan should witness. The Empire will hunt us forever. The Jedi Order is destroyed. We're fugitives with nowhere to go and no one to help us. Venom looked down at her, and when he spoke, it was with the certainty of 3 unified minds who'd chosen their path together. Now we fight back. The Empire thinks Order 66 destroyed the Jedi. They think their clone soldiers are perfect weapons. They think they've won. The symbiote's grin was all teeth, far too many teeth. They're about to learn they're wrong on all counts. Arden's memories provided tactical knowledge. CT-7294's training offered military strategy. The symbiote's alien nature gave them advantages no one in this galaxy would expect. Together, they were something new, something dangerous, something that could hide in plain sight or strike from shadows. With equal effectiveness, the Empire had created the perfect soldier and then betrayed him. Now that soldier had merged with something from beyond, the stars and the spirit of a Jedi Guardian. They'd saved 6 lives today. Tomorrow, they'd save more. And eventually, they'd make the Empire regret the day it tried to extinguish the light of the Jedi Order. The galaxy would remember Order 66 as the day the Jedi Order fell. Emperor Palpatine would tell the story of treasonous Jedi, of necessary purges, of the righteous rise of the Empire from the corrupt Republic's ashes. Clone troopers across 1,000 worlds would never question why they'd turned their weapons on the generals who'd led them through 3 years of brutal warfare. The inhibitor chips ensured their loyalty was absolute, their obedience unquestionable. But in the deepest shadows of the underworld, on forgotten worlds where the Empire's reach hadn't yet extended, a different story began to spread. Whispers of a creature that was clone and guardian and something else entirely. Tales of younglings saved from the Temple massacre. Rumors of Jedi surviving where they should have died. The stories varied in detail but shared a common thread. A black and white figure that fought the Empire's soldiers with the strength to match, that protected the innocent with the dedication of a Jedi, and that hunted those who would harm the defenseless with the ferocity of a predator from beyond. The stars, they called him Venom. Some said he was a dark side creation. Others whispered he was the Force's answer to Order 66. a weapon-turned guardian, a soldier who chose his own path. The Empire dismissed the stories as propaganda, desperate hope from Jedi sympathizers clinging to fantasy, until their clone troopers started disappearing, until Imperial facilities found themselves infiltrated by something that looked like a loyal soldier, but fought like a nightmare, until the Emperor himself felt a disturbance in the Force, not light or dark, but something other, something that shouldn't exist yet undeniably did. On Onderon, 6 Jedi survivors learned to hide among resistance fighters who remembered how to fight overwhelming military force. They grieved for their fallen order, honored those lost to the Purge, and began the long, patient work of surviving until the galaxy was ready to hear their truth again. And they did so under the protection of a hybrid who'd chosen to be more than his programming, more than his hunger, more than the sum of his impossible parts. CT-7294 had been created to be the perfect soldier. The symbiote had fallen from another dimension seeking only survival. Arden had given his last breath to protect younglings from a massacre. Together, as Venom, they became something the galaxy had never seen and would never forget, proof that, even in the Empire's darkest hour, even when every weapon turned against the light, some choices transcended programming, and some bonds were stronger than any chip burned into flesh. The war against the Empire had only just begun, and this time, the fight would be led by something the Sith Lord on his throne couldn't predict, couldn't manipulate, and couldn't destroy with simple orders. This time, the galaxy would learn that the Force worked in mysterious ways, and sometimes, the most powerful Guardian came from the last place anyone expected, the fusion of soldier, symbiote, and spirit, united in purpose and unbreakable in resolve.